Manchester United 2, Everton 0. A comprehensive win for United, Janusz Michallik. It could easily have been more, especially in that first half. However, it's 3 points, but at what cost, with Marcus Rashford going off injured with an apparent groin problem just over 10 minutes remaining?
You're going straight for that, huh, Rashford?
That's the story. Come on.
No. The story is Manchester United winning and regaining flow. That's the real story.
The story is Manchester United were 2-0 up when Rashford went off. They have games against Seville, against Brighton. They're trying to get third place in the table, but Rashford going off, we don't know the severity of it. That will be the story. It'll not be Manchester United beat team they're meant to beat 2-0 in the headlines tomorrow. It'll be Rashford hurt.
Yes and no. First and foremost, it's Manchester United regaining momentum because it's a tight race for top four, and it hasn't been all that great. So that's the biggest story of it all because they're ahead of Newcastle with 3 points. We all know that they've obviously lost massive momentum after that loss against Liverpool. And some maybe started to question them. So it's a big, big win with the one against Brentford as well, which gives them that little bit of a breathing room. And yes, of course, Marcus Rashford in the form that he's been, let's not forget he scored 15 goals and I think 4 assists in the Premier League alone. And he's been in an incredible form. So I think it's a worry, just like any team. They've had to do without Casemiro, which has been arguably as big, if not bigger loss for them, and yet they're going to get him back, and they're going to have to deal with it without Marcus Rashford. It's not going to be easy. Obviously, Casemiro is going to be back. Anthony Martial scored a goal today, so that's important. And you're going to have to deal with that.
You spoke about Casemiro. He has been a big miss. However, Scott McTominay getting the opening goal. It's amazing what some positivity on international duty with Scotland will do. Steve Clarke said to him when he came to camp, and his face was a little bit tripping. I mean, he was a little bit miserable. He said, look, I want you to play football with a smile on your face again. You do well for Scotland, you might get back in for Manchester United. And the last few games, he's been outstanding, Scott McTominay. So now with Casemiro back, it's decision time for Erik ten Hag.
Yeah, so I think it's important for Scott McTominay to keep himself in the conversation because when everybody's healthy, likely he will not be there. You're going to see Casemiro with Fred, or maybe even Bruno Fernandes, who by the way was outstanding and pulling strings throughout the match. They need him to do that. He was dropped a little bit deeper today. Marcel Sabitzer was playing higher, which he likes, and we've seen him play that position at Bayern Munich as well. And I thought he's played very well. But yes, McTominay gives them great options because you always want players like that to continue to fight for their place. Again, let's not forget another positive amongst the negatives is Christian Eriksen, who I believe I still have probably the most assists on the team, even though he was out for 2 or 3 months as well. So yes, it's getting tight. So yeah, it gives Erik ten Hag some options, and those options are going to be needed because of the absence of Marcus Rashford.
At 1-0, Everton are still in it, but I can't believe it was only 1-0 the chances United had. I mean, Everton didn't learn that a ball over the top was cutting them open so easily. Godfrey on one side and Tarkowski on the other, playing a 3 at the back, and they kept getting caught, and they had chances, and Anthony had an effort, and Wan-Bissaka put it wide as well. If you're a manager, is it the positivity of the creation of chances, or is that the frustration that you don't quite have the ability at that time to take them?
I mean, you can easily say it's both because it always is, but I liked it. This was good football from Manchester United in the first half. 21 shots, but I mean, the unbelievable chances. Anthony twice one-on-one with Pickford. I think Rashford was twice one-on-one as well. Let's not forget Wan-Bissaka. I don't know how he missed that after Anthony hit the post. I mean, that was an open net as well. But I like the directness. I mean, they had the possession, which you'd expect. Let's not forget that Manchester United own Everton, don't they? I mean, ahead of this game was 38 wins. Only, I think, against Spurs do they have more wins in the Premier League era. So I think you could foresee some of that. But I like the way Manchester United play. And oh, by the way, in the second half, when Everton came into it, I don't think it was anything that Sean Dyche or Everton did. It was Manchester United maybe falling asleep a little bit and dropping the energy in the game. I thought it was very, very positive. Wasteful, for sure, as you mentioned. Absolutely wasteful because that game could have been done and dusted by halftime. But I think that flow, that soft spell that we've seen from Manchester United, is kind of gone right now with that one big question mark of how they're going to react without Marcus Rashford.
Well, again, we'll see if he's going to be out for a period of time, and if so, how long he'll be. But that's something that we'll monitor here at ESPN FC over the coming days and weeks. For Everton, Ellis Sims had a chance that he snatched at. And look, you could say, oh, Manchester United defence, letting him there, it was too easy. But that's the style that Erik ten Hag wants to play. He wants to play that, get the ball back, and it's where they win it back. There's going to be moments like that. Sims didn't take it, but they know that if the opposition do get a chance in behind a defence, they've still got David De Gea to beat.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at it was unusual from Sean Dyche because that defensive line was so high, and they've allowed Manchester United to get behind time and time again. I don't quite understand. I don't, for some reason, think that this was something that Sean Dyche wanted to do. I wonder if players just pushed up on their own a little bit. Of course, you would have a say and try to drop him back just a little bit. But the way I saw Everton, my goodness. I mean, this could have easily been 4 or 5-0. To be fair, I gave you the statistics about Everton and Manchester United. I think this was one of those games where if you Everton, you probably knew it was going to go that way. Fulham at home and Crystal Palace away, much more important matches for Everton, because Everton, that's going to decide if they stay up or not. I just had a feeling this was always going to go this way, Mark.
Yeah, Brian Oviedo was the last Everton player to score a winning goal at Old Trafford, and you were in short shorts when that happened. I just want to recap with a broader picture. First half, loads of chances. If Harry Kane, say for example, we're next season and that game takes place and Harry Kane's joined Man United. If Harry Kane is playing for Man United today in that first half, that game's out of sight by half-time, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think they recognize that. I mean, we've talked about it plenty of times. I think Erik ten Hag kind of admitted to it indirectly from time to time. That's an area that's needed. I expect that there's going to be more decisions to be made, because I'm still not convinced in the wide areas, right? I mean, assuming that they're going to get a number 9, we all know that Marcus Rashford feels comfortable there. That's the position he likes. So fair play. But injuries like today are going to happen. Jadon Sancho, even though he had a tremendous assist on the first goal, still not the same player that we remember him from the Bundesliga, Mark. And I don't know if he's going to come good. There's still some questions about Antony. There are games like this where Manchester United dominates, where I suppose he's bright, even though he didn't take advantage of his chances. But I'm still not absolutely convinced that he's the man. And I'm talking about Manchester United challenging for the biggest trophies, for the Premier League title, as they would for European glory as well. So some question marks there as well, which I'm sure Erik ten Hag is aware of.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Don't give me players' names, because that's unfair on you and on them as well. But give me positions. If I was to say to you a striker, a right-sided player, because then you'd have the striker filled, you'd have the right side filled. You've got Rashford, you've got Bruno, you've got Casemiro, Fred, McTominay, Eriksen, maybe as backup, Anthony and Sancho playing as squad players. So we've got striker, right mid. Where else do you think they need to strengthen if they want to not get top 4 next season, challenge for the title?
I think still on the left side, I'm not convinced about Malacia. Luke Shaw, I think, is a good player. Are you going to get everything out of him throughout the season? I'm not so sure. I think he's proven already that when trusted, he can play, but I'd still look on that side a little bit. Right side of the fence isn't great either, by the way. Wan-Bissaka is trying to convince us that he could be the man. I think he's improved, but what is improvement? I suppose maybe by a few percent here or there. So certainly striker for sure, and I think definitely a wide player on the right side for me.
Manchester United were good today, really good in that first half. They get all 3 points, but now we wait for news about the injury to Marcus Rashford.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.